We are revisiting the topic of intentional singleness after listening to a more recent Heart of Dating episode featuring a December 2023 interview with Tara-Leigh Cobble. Today's episode is part two of our discussion regarding what Tara-Leigh shared about dating and singleness.
Welcome to the Jesus People Sisterhood podcast, a place where Christian single women aged 50 plus connect. I am your host, Janine Jordan, a Christian confidence coach and leadership mentor in Alberta, Canada.
And I'm your co-host, Ellie McCormick, a Christian longevity coach and mentor in the USA. Being single women over 50, we know what it's like to feel overlooked, to have unrealized dreams, to experience the challenges of singlehood, and to be concerned about what our future will look like. We couldn't find anything online for single Christian women over 50, so we created Jesus People Sisterhood just for you, a place where sisters encourage and empower one another through the last third of life, because you are a treasure trove of wisdom and of exceedingly great value. This is an authentic community, a supportive family, with other women on the same journey where Jesus is the center of it all. Here you will find real talk, real community, and real sisters.
Join us as we discuss building relationships, whole health, and growing spiritually. We'll review helpful books and articles, chat with guest speakers, share success stories, and have some laughs along the way. So grab your favorite beverage and we'll get started.
Welcome, sisters, to this episode of the Jesus People Sisterhood podcast, the only podcast specifically for single Christian women over 50. Today, we give a shout out to our sisters in Tennessee. Thank you for listening. It's a blessing to provide this podcast for free, but it does cost us to produce Jesus People Sisterhood episodes. It would be a great blessing to us that if you decide to buy a book mentioned in this podcast, you purchase it through the link in our episode show notes.
We want everyone to get to know our listeners, and so we'll be doing listener spotlight episodes from time to time. If you would like to share your testimony or what the Lord is doing in your life currently, or if you are leading in ministry or another field and would like to tell us about that for a Jesus Sister Excelling in the last third episode, please contact us at support@jesuspeoplesisterhood.com. We would love to have our listeners come and share with the sisterhood. And now, let's get to today's episode.
Today's episode is part two of our update on Tara-Leigh Cobble's thoughts on singleness and dating. If you have not listened to part one, please go back and listen to the previous episode, episode 69, first. And now we pick up the discussion where we left off last week. I think at this point in the interview, she was sharing how, and I think you already mentioned it, that she had friends that were coming over and spending the night with her for like weeks.
Right.
So she wouldn't be alone. And just how important that community was. And I think the host, Kate, the wife, shared that after one of her breakups, she had a similar situation where all her friends got on a call and one that lived nearby came to see her.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this just goes back to the importance of community.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a single person, and so much more like us older ladies that are single.
Right. And hence that reason for JPS, right? That community that we long for, we need, and is something that we need to continue to establish, right? Yeah.
Then the host asked Tara-Leigh about how she gets her advisors, the people she gathered around her.
Yeah.
And she was saying that as far as advisors, like there's the people that you go to for advice, and then you have the cheerleaders. And she says, and cheerleaders are great. Everybody needs them, right? The rah-rah people. But as far as like taking counsel from people that, and this was something I did have a little take some exception to, was that she only wanted to listen to people who had been in extensive therapy.
Hmm. Yeah.
which I thought you must have a lot of wealthy friends
Mm.
because therapy is expensive.
Hmm.
And here at Jesus People Sisterhood, we encourage people to go to therapy and find a good therapist, to be
Right.
really picky about that
Hmm.
because it can make such a big difference in your life, no doubt. And we all have need of healing from different things in our life.
Right. Yep.
But I kind of didn't like that that idea that she said because you would just
Maybe alienate some people that.
you were to exclude
Mm.
a
Hmm.
lot of people that you
Hmm.
shouldn't. And you might include people that you shouldn't.
Right.
So just because somebody's gone to therapy doesn't make them necessarily a good counselor. Again, because a lot of times people who've gone to extensive therapy, it's because they needed it and they had the money to pay for it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And her
I.
thought was that, well, if
Hmm.
they went to therapy, then they became more self-aware
Hmm.
and they had
Which
somebody
does
with
which does
them.
happen in therapy. I mean,
Yes,
there are there
absolutely.
tools there to do that, but I can, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that she didn't want people who just read books and had never had anybody
Hmm.
question them, right? I mean, she made good points, but I think there's also people who go to therapy and they know therapy speak and they,
Right. Yep.
everything becomes in view of what they learned in their therapy sessions
Hmm.
and not, instead of like real life and the
Hmm.
Bible and your relationship with the Lord and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, your therapy is only as good as your therapist,
Right.
right? And so you have a lot of young therapists or people who may not have a lot of life experience or they are influenced by their experience.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's just more than that. I think her rule for having an advisor, it wouldn't be my rule, I guess
Hmm.
I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the most important thing is that for me is that if I'm going to tell somebody my deepest, darkest secrets and expose myself to somebody speaking into my life to give me correction, then the most important thing to me is that number one, they love the Lord, but the other thing is that I have a relationship with them and I have trust with them and I built something solid with them, I guess, and I'm not exactly sure how I don't have a checklist for who I would, but I do consider some friends that I would definitely tell things to. And then there'd be some people that I would be more reluctant to, and I probably wouldn't share as much. And I think that's something you have to learn yourself to discern. Again, in prayer, again in time, and how much has been invested into the relationship with the person. I also think you usually can have a better channel of understanding if the person's walked a few miles in your shoes. And I know that where you as a single person and myself as a single person, you understand very well. Yeah. That matters to me. But yeah,
Right, right. All those things taken into consideration.
that's right. Yeah.
One of the things she brought up here, and then JJ mentioned it too,
Mm,
was that you're looking for people who are emotionally mature.
right.
And I
Exactly.
have to agree, I know a lot of ladies about my age
Hmm.
and maybe even older who aren't
Hmm.
emotionally mature.
Right.
And
Yeah.
JJ brought up a book called Emotional Spirituality or
Right.
Emotional, what's that what it's called? It'll be in the show notes.
Hmm.
But
Right.
I remember after listening to it, I had looked up the book and I found that I had already had it on a Amazon wish list.
Mm, okay.
And the premise, as far as like the description of that book, is that you
Hmm.
can't really be spiritually mature if you aren't emotionally mature.
Hmm.
And
That's true.
I think that's absolutely true, which is kind of sad again, because I do know a lot of older women who do have a lot of life experience. It's not that they can't speak into anything, they
Right.
can't give you any advice, but
Hmm.
they aren't emotionally mature. And so you do have to, like, what am I going to really listen to when they give me spiritual advice?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Well, I think
Even the way people talk to you, right? The way
yeah.
that they give
Mm-hmm.
you advice, are they really doing it from a heart to serve you, or is they just
Mm-hmm.
telling you their mind because they're right about everything?
True. That that's true, and maybe we get a little older, a little crankier, and think we we kind of know it all. That's true, and so we have to, yeah. Every person is going to have to discern who should be in their immediate group and people that they call upon when they have these when they need them. Yeah.
Right. So Tara-Leigh talks about how she will look at people that, you would go to in
Mm-hmm.
times of trouble or for support, and
Right.
she looks at whether they're emotionally mature by how do they react when they don't get what they want?
Mm-hmm. Right. That's a big thing. Mm-hmm.
How do they live their life? What are their principles?
Mm-hmm.
How do they treat people? Obviously, all those different things.
Right. How do they talk about people? Yeah, and the big one was, are they a gossip? Something to consider if you're going to bare your soul, right? Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the host was saying how Tara-Leigh Cobble is very fun and spontaneous, and then you wouldn't know that because if you only hear her on the Bible recap where she's more serious.
Hmm.
And they were asking her, okay, so the holidays are coming up, and how do you, go on living a happy, fun, fruitful, single life?
Hmm. Right.
So I think the host asked, how did she cultivate her single life? And one of the things she said was that she creates traditions for herself,
Oh, right. Okay.
right? The hosts were saying how the holidays can be really difficult for single people, right? And because there's all
Hmm.
these, everything's for couples, Hallmark comes out with all their Christmas couples movies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so Tara Lee said that
Yeah.
she creates these traditions. One of them is she used to live in New York City, so at Christmas time every year she'll go to New York City at least for a few days and visit friends and do things on her own also. She also said that she never dated anybody during a holiday. She never dated anybody over Christmas, or she never got a New Year's Eve kiss or a
All right. Yeah.
Valentine's Day kiss or any of
Hmm.
those kind of things. And so she just started to create her own traditions that she hopes she keeps if and when she does get married. So
Hmm.
the day after Thanksgiving, she has what she calls leftover Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving
Right.
leftovers party. That's what she has,
Hmm.
where she invites only singles are allowed to come and they bring their leftovers from Thanksgiving. So it's like on a Friday. In the United States, Thanksgiving's on Thursday, and on the following Friday, she has this party. And she said she's people meet each other there sometimes get a date. And that she also on New Year's Eve, she'll have a singles New Year's Eve party. And you have to be single, of course. And she says she's met people and gone on dates with people from that also. Although I don't think she meant to say she's holding these singles only things so you can get a date.
No.
I
No.
think it was, she was just talking about that was like a positive byproduct of doing these
Mhm.
things.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So she just created her own traditions for that time, and then if she chooses to continue them, she can, and she can make new ones herself. And then I think she also talks about, then I think they also talk about how you can, there was something about showing up at a wedding single and doing things singly, maybe that we hadn't considered. But I think as older ladies who've been single for a longer period of time, we probably have showed up in different sort of places single and had to it probably for many of us had to have a lot of those celebratory seasons alone. And so I think she gave some good suggestions there. I think as you get older, that's a good thing to have a get together with others that are in the same sort of circumstances you are, and to forward that sense of community at that time, because those times are really difficult. And you're right, it's the weepy, sappy kind of I don't have anybody with me sort of time of the year, and you're going into another year, and sometimes it can be a challenging part
Right.
in life. Yeah,
And just so happens we are heading into the holiday season.
it's
Right.
true. It's
And
true.
she was saying the importance of doing these activities and creating traditions is so it takes you out of that place of self-pity.
Hmm.
And also you're extending it to others, extending kindness to others, so they're taken out of their self-pity
Hmm.
because that's not where God wants us,
No,
right?
no.
To have a heart
Hmm.
of gratitude and to be celebrating that we're alive and
Right. Right. Right.
God works through us
Hmm.
and to be thankful for the blessings we do have, even if we're single.
Right. Right. But we're not suffering a heart attack or a heartache, and we're not and we're not being kidnapped, or and we're not being, taken on a date with somebody who may have a very strange point of view, or maybe, also, we're not having any legal action against anybody too. So we
Right.
can we can be joyous if we haven't encountered that as well. A little humor
Right.
there, but yeah.
And she also talked about just serving, like at a soup kitchen, things like that.
Hmm. Yep.
And she said also you could go like to your married friends or whoever, if like don't just sit there and be alone in your
Hmm.
self-pity, is to say,
Yep.
hey, do you know, is anybody doing
Woo-hoo-hoo.
anything on Thanksgiving that or something that I can be invited to? Let me know. Is anything
Hmm.
happening at such and such a time? Let me and just say that to all your friends
Hmm.
so that you're not just sitting alone. Now, I think it may be a little bit different for older single women
Hmm.
because not all of us are in that kind of community where people are doing stuff.
Right.
But that's where we should think about, we should be and
Hmm.
reaching out. And then also, I think they talked about if you're married, to be thinking about other
Yeah.
people, be thinking about your community.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if it is difficult as a single to reach out and to say those sort of things, it's also, if you're married, or or if you have a boyfriend or something, it's nice to invite other ladies along, and to consider them at times like that as well. And sometimes that community is really hard for us to find, because we may not be attached to our children, we may not be attached to our families, or we may have had people that have passed away, and so sometimes it's just very difficult to maybe even ask for a ride if we're having some mobility issues, or maybe we're just, been alone for so long that we're just not even thinking about asking to go somewhere, or finding it difficult. So yeah,
The
something that.
hosts bring up LBGQT Christians who they're Christian, and so they're committed to being celibate and single the rest of their lives. And they have one specific friend that they mentioned. And so because of that, they have to think about, okay, so if the rest of my life I'm not going to have a partner, I'm not going to have children, what happens when I get 60, 70, 80? It's funny when I said that because I'm thinking, oh, like, all right. And there is nobody. And so they were talking about the importance of cultivating family. So you have family with other people. You should be doing it. It isn't just your family, like who you're married to and if you have kids, etc. And I just thought, of course, related it to Jesus People Sisterhood and Jesus
Mhm.
People Sisterhood groups.
Right.
That's what we're trying to do is to cultivate family. And wisely and rightly, Tara-Leigh brings up, hey, even if you do get married, maybe you won't have any kids, and most likely one of you is going to die before the other, so you could
Right.
be single, which we've
Hmm.
mentioned on this podcast. And even if you do have kids, some people, she knows people whose kids grew up, moved away, and have no intention of coming back, or the
Hmm.
parents have alienated the kids and they're not even in contact with them. And so you're going to be alone. That may
Hmm.
be some of our Jesus sisters who are listening. They may be in that situation. And
Hmm.
so you need to really be cultivating family. We, again, so often we're saying on this podcast of reaching out to our sisters and being there for one another,
Hmm.
strengthening one another, helping one another. And there could be people who are not emotionally mature. All I can say is trying to help them be emotionally mature is hopefully
Hmm.
they would open up to you, to
Hmm.
we would open up to one another to help one another grow.
Right, and even considering those sisters who may have, some mental challenges or some, neurodivergent challenges, right? That maybe don't get asked out as much or those sort of things. Take that into consideration as well because community is so, so important. Hmm.
Right,
Yep.
right. And
Hmm.
she shared even in cultivating this family is it could be two married people. They're
Hmm.
married, right? And trying to be included. She said that she normally, if she doesn't go home for Thanksgiving to be with her family, then every year she
Oh.
usually spends it with a married couple with
Hmm.
kids. She spends it with them. And so,
Hmm.
and sometimes she says she kind of invites herself.
Yeah.
If they don't
Yeah.
mention it, like, how about next year? She'll invite them.
Yeah, that's right. Standing
Um,
date.
right,
Yeah. I have to say that I've been blessed by two sets of married couples that have just been wonderful to me and good friends. And we raised our kids together, and they were there. They were always open to having me join, and I always felt welcome. And it was a real blessing. And those sort of things can be a blessing to you, sisters, as well. Yeah.
right. Tara-Leigh gave this sentence example, I guess, of like saying, if anything's happening that I can be invited to, let me know for
Mhm.
whatever occasion. Or saying, I'm feeling kind of nervous about being alone on my birthday. My
Yeah.
birthday's coming up. And then in that way, opening up the subject of like, can you make suggestions or is there anybody who could do something with?
Right.
That's just a really a good encouragement
Hmm.
because we can just feel like nobody cares about me. I'm not important to anybody. I'm
Hmm.
just alone instead of just reaching out
Hmm.
because maybe there are some people who are closed, but sometimes people are just living their life. And
Hmm.
if you don't say anything, they don't know.
Yeah, sometimes they really just don't know. I've shared some things with my friends and they're like, "Really? That's how you feel? That's what you mean?" And they said, "Well, of course it had never occurred to them that I might feel uncomfortable about a certain thing." And it took me a while to open up, but when I did, they were like, "Oh, okay." And I think a lot of people would be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are your
Hmm.
final thoughts on the episode?
Well, hmm, where do I stand in this season? I think Tara-Leigh Cobble's idea to sort of hold life with to hold it with an open hand, like to if you're going to say this is something that I'm not really interested in, this is dating is not something that I really want to do, but I'm going to be having that conversation with the Lord, and if things arise and I feel that that's sort of where He's leading me to go, that I would be open to that. But on the other hand, I wouldn't be chasing that as opposed to chasing my relationship or engaging in my relationship with the Lord. And I think that I love her honesty with that. I love her vulnerability in saying, this is what I was doing, this is now what I'm doing, and yeah, I think there's something in that for all of us, right? What do you think, Ellie?
Agree with what you shared. I don't, again, I think there's a lot of really good things shared, especially about community.
Hmm.
I think I would understand anybody who, especially listening to really like the terrible dates and the pain
Yep.
of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
failed relationship,
Hmm.
why you would, especially as an older person,
Hmm.
be in closed singleness.
Hmm.
I would say we need to trust God and we need to
Hmm.
be in this communion with God and intimate relationship with Him and having this conversation about it. But I certainly think it's understandable why you would be in closed singleness because, especially as older people. But at the same time, I think most women, even if they've been through a lot, would like to have a companion, especially in old age.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a hard place, you know, and it is about talking to the Lord about it
Mm-hmm.
and continuing. Don't just talk to him, make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
and then not talk to him about it anymore. Well, I made the decision. No, it's
Yep.
got to be this constant communication.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay,
Well,
Ellie.
all right, listeners. So we hope we updated. We didn't want to misrepresent where Tara-Leigh is. And so we're
Right.
so thankful for the listener who told us about the later episode. I don't know why it didn't come up originally. And
Mm-hmm.
we did the episode 48 and 49. But we're glad that we found out about it. And maybe Tara-Leigh will come out again and tell us where she's at now, a
Right.
couple years later.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope it blessed you all, and God bless.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please share any thoughts that resonated with you from today's podcast episode in our private Facebook group at Jesus People Sisterhood Community. Start reaching out to other single women and create your local group of Jesus People Sisters. Please let us know about your group to add to our directory by contacting us at support@JesusPeopleSisterhood.com.
Have you had a good experience with a business? They've treated you honestly and helped you at a reasonable price? Please let us know. We would like to start a directory of JPS-friendly businesses. Let's care for one another.
Be blessed by him who is able to protect you from stumbling and to make you stand in the presence of his glory, blameless and with great joy. Until next time. Hey, sister, before you go, thank you for listening. If you found value in today's podcast, the best way to say thank you is by leaving a 5-star written review at Apple Podcasts. That raises us in the rankings and helps other sisters find us too. And please tell a friend or post it on your social media. If you're a single Christian woman over 50, this podcast was created specifically for you. The Jesus People Sisterhood is your community to find support and friendship with other sisters who can understand. Be sure to follow us on your podcast app and join our free private Facebook group at Jesus People Sisterhood Community.
Jesus People Sisterhood has also started a private Facebook group for housing and co-living opportunities. You can check that out at Jesus People Sisterhood Senior Housing. You can also find us on Facebook at Jesus People Sisterhood and individually for Janine at riseupcoachingandconsulting.com and for Ellie at samaramountain.com. And ladies, this is the necessary disclaimer. Our podcast content is for informational purposes and does not constitute professional advice from mental health, medical, legal, financial, or other areas. The opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host. It is our heart that this podcast will be a blessing to you. Together, let's build a powerful sisterhood with Jesus. Make a friend, add a sister, across the border and around the world.